Come back to the comeback circuit, the show when we're diving into the sports. Well, not necessarily just the sport, every sport's toughest athletes, what they go through injury-wise, the setbacks, and how they rise from that. We're welcoming today Owen McCarron, an elite rugby league athlete with, from my opinion, an incredible journey to get back from one of the big injury setbacks that he has. And we want to dive straight into their story. But before we dive into the injury side, what I want to know, see, look, there's me, and ahhing now. We spoke about this before.
Yeah.
How'd you get into rugby, mate? Like, I know you're an Aussie. How'd you get into rugby out there?
Yeah. So my dad's born in England. So I guess I grew up playing a bit of football and rugby union. We didn't really play rugby league at a young age, but I think I just sat there looking at clouds and picking insects out of the grass. I wasn't really interested. And then it was until I was in primary school and you'd play touch footy at lunchtime with my mates. They were playing rugby league, so I just followed my friends. I don't think I really had that much of a passion for it when I first did it. I think I was just playing with friends initially, and then you sort of grow that passion as you keep going.
Okay. Did you grow up in Australia then, or did you spend time in the UK? I know you said your dad's from the UK.
No, I'm born and raised in Australia. I think I come over here a couple of times to see family. A bit of family down in Nottingham, but no, never lived out here until I came over and signed.
So in your early career, then you said you started playing a little bit of touch rugby with your friends, a little bit of union. At what point then did you go, you know what, I'm actually not too bad at this and I can actually start throwing you're better than the average? What made that, what was that process?
It's fun. I don't know if I've ever really got that sort of click in my mind. I've just sort of kept going and going, and you sort of just keep pushing the limits where you can. You know, there's rep teams you don't make, and then teams you do make, and then I think sport a lot of times is a bit of a war of attrition. You know, there's players who are much better than me who just threw the towel in at 17, 18. You sort of leapfrog over them and you leapfrog over them, and you know, you sit here in your mid-20s, late 30s and stuff, and you know, the ones who are probably the ones who really, really want it are the ones left. And then from there, you know, I still don't even really think I'm that sort of cut above the average player at this stage. I'm still learning and still getting better. But yeah, it's been good. It's been a good journey.
Yeah, that's a testament to yourself. I know your work rate and I know everything like that. Just a very, very humble man. But for obviously from the outside looking in, you're in a position, you're playing champ rugby in the UK. You're a cut above the rest to even get there, which is good. So yeah, keep striving to be better. I love the mindset with that. One thing we want to dive into then is, I was there firsthand for this. It was not a straightforward one. It might not be the one that you're going to mention, but what I want to know is your first major setback, your first big injury. We want to dive into how it affected you, the rehab process, everything like that, so anybody listening can understand what you as a player go through. So when was your first biggest injury?
Yeah, it's a good one. It's a pretty decent story to go with it as well. I think I was just back into being 18, early 19, and I've had 2 shoulder reconstructions. So I've had both of them put back together. This is the first one I did. The journey was really tough in the long run. And I think in hindsight, it's because I wasn't mentally ready for it. And I had a really big why me attitude, drop the bottom lip. You know, this is happening to me. All my friends I play with, they're not injured. Why do I have to go through this? And what should have been probably a 9-month injury turnaround, I think I didn't play for about 14, 15 months. And that'd be because, well, you know, the doctor gives you exercises to go home and do straight away after surgery. Didn't do them, sat in bed, ate junk food. That's about it. And then, you know, I went back and joined my rugby club, which is in Brisbane, North Devils. Had a ripper team then. A lot of players in that under 20s team gone on to play NRL, some in the Super League. A few household names. Really good team. And I watched them win the competition from the sidelines. And I probably could have got back and been a chance to put my hand up and play in that game, in that grand final. And then you look back in hindsight and it's like, shit, if I just had that sort of mentality to get cracking straight away, could I have been out there with the boys? But instead you're in the grandstand watching. So
That's got me.
yeah.
Yeah.
It was.
What happened to the shoulder then? So what did you do it on the pitch? Did you do in training? What actually happened?
The first one was a it dislocated just once. It was out of the socket for I think an hour and a half. Couldn't get it back in. The muscles had seized up, so it sort of fallen out and sort of stuck underneath my arm. Hour and 40 minutes or hour and 30 minutes. Man, it was the worst pain I've been in. I swear. And that was the first one. And then the second one, which was my right side, I think I dislocated it or subluxed it at least 10, 11 times before I actually got it constructed properly. I think I was in a nightclub once dancing. I threw my arm up and it just dislocated. Like it got to that level of
Instability.
instability. Yeah.
What's going through your head when your shoulder's out the socket for an hour and a half?
Oh, where's mum? Give her a hug. Can she come hug me? I don't know. Yeah, it was a weird one. Looking back, it was a fair few years ago now, but I just remember the pain being so intense. And I had, the physio there trying to massage the muscles so they'd loosen off and it would sort of go back in. It didn't work. Tried moving it to try and lock it back in. It wouldn't work. So I just remember being really painful, to be fair. I can't think my mentally was.
Put it back in.
I don't know. I was asleep. I got to the hospital and it was still out.
Oh, right.
And then I woke up about a couple hours later and it was back in. Yeah.
Oh, so they had to put you to sleep to get it.
Yeah. I think they gave me the green whistle and then they couldn't do it still. And then they just put me to bed to do it. Yeah.
Like I've dealt with a few dislocated shoulders, and obviously I've never had one myself, but the players report the intense pain with it. And those that managed to get it relocated straight away, the immense relief you get from it. But obviously you'll have bypassed that bit because you'll have been asleep.
I did. I did dislocate an elbow at some point in time, which no surgery needed, which is a little miracle. But I think putting that one back in was probably the best feeling I've ever had. Then followed about 10 seconds later by some of the worst pain ever. But yeah, you are right. When that goes back in, it's just
Relief.
perfect.
Relief. So once you heard, well, obviously you've had it relocated. When did you get the diagnostics that you're going to need a reconstruction then? Or was that one the right one? Have you had both?
I've had both of them been reconstructed. So
what's the thought process in
done.
your mind when somebody says, right, you're going to need surgery here. You're going to need to have it reconstructed. I can't even say that. Reconstructed. What's your expectations there? What's going through your mind when they're telling you need surgery? This is how long recovery is going to take. Have you got anything?
Well, that's the thing. The first time I had a sook, essentially, in the most honest way. Had a sook, why me? This shouldn't happen, blah, blah, blah. Like I said, took me about 15 months to get back from a 9-month injury. Didn't really do much of my rehab. Have had a lot of problems with it since because I didn't do that well. I think that put me in good stead for the second time around because you sort of know what you're in for. It's hard because you know how hard that mountain is going to be to climb because you know how long that process is. However, you know you can get through it. And I had, not that I like the word motivation, but I had motivation to get back and just start cracking on with the rehab straight away.
Yeah, same. So the mindset shifted quite drastically from first one to second one.
Massively.
Is that just from expectations that you know you could probably push things a little bit further? Or did you actually have some help in the background to help you push things further?
No. I think it's just from the lived experience of the first one. And then, like I said, also sitting in a grandstand watching a team lift a trophy that I know in the back of my mind that I should have in the timeline been back and put my hand up to try and play in that game. So this time around, I knew that I had that in me. And I knew that if I got back in time, I'd get back and play, a certain amount of game rugby at the end of the year. Because again, I did this they've done both of them in pre-season. I could have got back and played again, which I did that year.
Perfect. How long did it take? So was the first shoulder reconstruction, is that the one that took you 14 months?
Yeah, that's the first one, yep.
How long did the second one take?
I think I was back at 8.
Okay.
Yeah, just cracked on with it.
Looking at things there, you've 6 months. 6 months of mental, I'm not saying mental issues around it, but 6 months is a long time. You delayed your first one by 6 months because you kind of didn't know how to respond, react, which is important, which, to be fair, taking 6 months off your second one, you must have learned a lot in that first one to kind of crack on and get on with it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think it wasn't even during it. I think it was more afterwards when I got back and started playing and went, God, I really just kicked the can down the road there and I didn't really push that hard. And I think one thing I've learned from being in rehab, which I think can apply to all aspects of life, is you got to pick your hard. doing your rehab every day, getting home from work or, training and not being able to do what you want and doing it every day. That's hard. But it's also hard watching a team win a grand final from the stands. So you got to pick which one you want to live with.
Is there any regrets there then?
No, because it put me in good stead for the future. Like we'll get into later on, a big injury I had last season, just gone. I think you can't live your life with regrets because it puts you in good stead for later on, but it does hurt to look back and go, what could have been?
Yeah. Coming back from those shoulder recons then, was there any fear of re-injury? So once you're back playing, what was it like going back into
Yeah.
your first game? I want to ask this question on last season's injury as well, to be fair, because I've obviously I can chip in with that point.
Yeah, you can.
But was there any fear going back into playing?
Actively. And I had a coach actually pull me aside and he sort of went, because I think I was protecting it a lot in preseason. I wouldn't really hit people that hard. I'd try and avoid contact a bit. If I didn't have to do something, I wouldn't do it. And I had a coach pull me aside and he sort of went, look, if you can't do it at training, you're not going to do it in a game. So we're not going to pick you. You're not going to make this team. And I think there was a training session where I just flew into the biggest boy there as hard as I could. You go, no, I'm okay. And you move on. And it's sort of that little mindset switch. You sort of have to jump in the deep end sometimes. You can't wade in.
Yeah, it's just testing the waters.
Yeah,
You've got to test the waters. Obviously, you've done everything right to get up to that point. You're just missing that last little bit.
exactly. Yeah. It's just that mindset bit, that little confidence to actually know that it's fixed.
Yeah. Well, the next injury from last season wasn't that long ago, really, was it? 4 months ago?
No. I think I worked out
5
about
months ago?
20 weeks ago now.
Yeah, so not that long ago. Now, you suffered quite a major knee injury, which was quite a strange one. Okay, like I'll mention to a lot of people, every injury, someone will have had your injury that you've gone through, but how it was sustained, everything's always going to be completely different. Tell everybody what happened to you.
I was chasing down someone on the sideline in a rugby game, and I was chasing him really hard because I was also the reason that they made the line break. So I was getting back into the defensive line a bit lazily. So I was chasing him down and I went for a big dive to try and catch him and tackle him and missed him because he's an outside back and I'm a slow forward. And I think put my knee down to brace myself just instinctively so I don't land, chest face first on the ground, and whole body weight at full pace went through the knee and snapped the PCL.
Yeah, so I've watched the footage back. You can see that exact point where it happens. But the thing that amazes me, that confuses me, when did you actually notify anybody of that injury? So I know this happened in the first half of a game. When did you notify myself that you had a little bit of an injury?
15 minutes later, maybe 20 minutes later, maybe I can't remember.
Yeah,
I think
so
adrenaline just sort of kicks in at some point in time.
it was 15 minutes later. You said my knee doesn't feel too stable, but you still finished that game, which was unbelievable. It was only when we got in the sheds after you said, "Can you have a check out of my knee?" Which we do post game.
Yeah,
Even I had it in my head. I don't usually swear on these, but the holy shit moment. There's your knee's very, very lax. If anybody doesn't know, there's the PCL in the knee. There's two. It's kind of a cross in the knee. You've got your ACL at the front and your PCL at the back. Your PCL stops your bone. So if I grab someone's shin at the front, stops the bone shifting backwards. So you kind of played 40, 50 minutes maybe
yeah, about that.
with a bone that was just wobbling, which was, yeah, we didn't even realize. I don't think you realized after the game the true extent of what happened.
No, I knew there was a bit of instability there. Like I said, maybe a grade 1 somewhere, the pool or something. And I went to take my boot off. I did that exact move and I pulled against my boot to pull it off. And I had this shooting pain go through my knee. And I went, well, that shouldn't happen.
No. But obviously, from there, we sent you for scans. You kind of didn't know the true extent of the injury at that point. What went through your mind when I told you about the injury?
Well, I remember being in high spirits on that Tuesday because I think we played this Saturday and I got the injury on the Saturday. Sunday hobbled around. Monday a bit better. I got the scan on Monday. That Tuesday we were back at training and I was walking around pretty normally and I went, it might be a 1 week injury here. I might be back in 2 weeks. Worst case, I miss 2 weeks and be back for the third week, start planning that in your head. And then it's like a sobering slap in the face when you get told that theoretically that should be season over.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I did tell you it's season over.
You did, yes.
Yeah.
You
I
also
mean,
diagnosed me with a amputated leg at the start of the season, but hey,
oh, can't throw me out on that. You got to admit that one of the fact it took a heavy contact on the shin at the start of the season. I reckon if 99% of people have seen the look of that leg, it looked deformed.
I thought I was, yeah, it looked so bad. It looked so bad. And then I was running, again, I was running on Tuesday.
We digress. That's a different one. But yeah, I mean, I've spoke
Yeah.
to you on the phone about this, and if I could have done anything different in telling you how that PCL injury had pan out and saying it's a season over, that's always good in hindsight. But what was your? I know when I told you the scan diagnostics, I gave you kind of two options, and I gave you an option of look, you can either stick around here with the lads and just process it, or if you want to process it in any other way, get yourself off, go have a brew, go have something to eat. What was going through your mind when I told you specifically what was happening?
Yeah. I think we did talk about on the phone about like getting the news at training. And it was a tough one because you're still trying to process it. Well, as in me, I'm still trying to process it. I had lads around me trying to console me, which like absolutely love that. But I was still getting to terms with it as well. And a bit of a whirlwind of emotions. I think I sort of broke out in tears walking to the car and in the car as well. And yeah, it really sucked is the best way I can sort of put it. But I've got a bit of a rule in my life that I give myself 24 hours to feel sorry for myself, and then it's business. So I think I went to Marston's Fried Chicken.
I've never been.
Uh,
It's
have you ever
essentially in
been?
Huddersfield. I've never been. I've lived in
It's unreal.
I've heard.
It's I went straight there, felt sorry for myself, got a bunch of chicken. I think my partner Cass went and bought me some Maltesers and other things. She went to work the next day. I laid in bed and watched a movie and ate junk food and felt sorry for myself. And then Thursday came around and we had a plan to get back.
Yeah. What? So you have we sat down, didn't we? We on that Thursday. So this is 2 days later. We made a plan from A to B on how to get you right. How important was that plan to you? I know it's important to me as a therapist because I can map out exactly what we need to do with you, set expectations with you. Was that plan important for you? And if it was, what part was important?
I think it was greatly important because I think I referred back to it numerous times. And that's what I would have to thank you as my therapist because you took the time to sit me down. I remember we were on that hill and you went, because I think I spoke to you and I said, I'm not letting this end my season. Like we are getting back. Like me and you are working together to get back. And you went, right, okay. And you went, it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be linear. Like I think you always say, and you can touch on it more, rehabilitation. If you zoom out, it might be linear. You zoom in, there's a lot of ups and downs. Absolutely there is. And I think you sat me down and gave me all the information, even gave me the process of, you haven't got a PCL that, like it's a cross. One of those crosses is gone. There's a lot more pressure on that ACL now. You have to work really hard to strengthen that leg. And I went, yep, okay. We knew all the, what do you want to call them? The difficulties or the obstacles in the way, all the dangers. We made an agreement and we decided to go forward together. And I think that was also really huge. Having a physio like yourself, that I wasn't on my own doing it. I had you, I had a good team at Halifax as well. As a journey, as a group, rather than going by yourself.
Yeah, I have to chuck in here because I get caught out on this all the time. I'm not allowed to call myself a physio. I have to call myself a sports therapist because of the
That sounds
degree.
cooler than physio, to be fair.
Yeah, yeah, it is. My degree was geared around elite athletes, so I love that. But yeah, the support network that you had around there, like I'm really big on expectations. Setting expectations is one. What I don't want to do is give you some unrealistic expectations. Look, you're going to get through this. There's going to be no hurdles. There's going to be nothing. All you have to do is tick this box, and then we're good to go. That's not realistic, not
Yeah.
in my opinion. There's going to be bumps in the road. Like I'm very good at settling people from what I'm aware, from what I've been told. So when a bump in the road does come, I can show you why that happened and what we do to solve it. I know. And then you said the support network around you as well. How important was your teammates for a start, and potentially your missus as well. How important were they through this recovery journey?
I never thank my partner Cassidy enough. You know, she's from Australia as well. She's left her family and friends back there to come over to England and be with me. So even through that whole, you know, journey, I guess, of rehab, you know, always there. If I had to go to training an hour early to do some rehab, you know, and you know, leave her stranded at the house, you know, it was never an issue for her. So massively, definitely, yeah. The boys as well, they're great because it's hard to say because I know when there's someone else in rehab or someone else who's maybe not in the actual team, you don't ever see them as being on the outer. But when you are in that position, you do feel like you're on the outer. You don't feel like you're as part of the team because on the Sunday, when all the hard work during the week is determined during 80 minutes, you're not a part of that. So you don't feel like you're part of the team anymore. I know that's ridiculous to say because, like you said, roles reversed. You'd never think that as being a player, but it's natural. You just feel like you're not there. So, you know, the boys work really hard they always come shake hand. How's it going? What's been happening? Oh, you looks good. Oh, you're doing this, but that's awesome, mate. We're so happy for you. Keeps you going along and keeps you, yeah, in and supported.
It's great, isn't it? That the support networks are so important, especially because people don't realize this with athletes, with anybody with injuries, really. There are dark days. There'll have been times through that rehab where you've gone home, you're absolutely smashing it. You're thinking, I feel like I'm only a quarter of the way through here. I've still got all these boxes to tick.
Yeah.
And that's why we set little goals of what we need to do to make sure there's always a win along the way. But yeah, there's got to be dark days, and it's good to have that support work around you.
Yeah.
The big thing that I want to know, go on.
No, I was going to say, just on that, I think, I mentioned it before, but it's a good segue is like, when I say I don't really believe in motivation is, I feel like like you can have motivation, but like there's going to be dark days and motivation's a short fuse, burns hot, but it's short. You know, you can have days where motivation's at 100 and you kick the door in and you're doing your rehab and you feel great. And there's going to be days when your motivation's at 0. So you got to have good system and a good standards and good discipline in place. You know, you're not going to rise to the motivation. You're always going to fall for what your system and what your discipline is. So on those dark days, you know that there's a box you have to go and tick, and you might not go and smash the rehab, but you're going to do the amount to make progression.
Well, I want to fast forward a little bit now. I think with players, this is probably one area that I need improvement on. When you get selected for your first game back, which was probably 2-3 months earlier than what I had expected, you'd smashed your rehab, you were ticking every box, and there was no other position we were put into to say, like, look, we can make you available this week. When you first got selected into the squad, how was you feeling?
Nervous. Hit myself.
Yeah.
I think it was Doncaster away, and it was one game before we were finals. And the week prior, we just cemented our spot in finals. So I think a few of those older boys and senior boys got a bit rested. We probably went with I wouldn't call it an understrength team because the squad was strong, but we were missing a few key players, a few key leaders in that team. I got selected at front row, starting front row. And if you know Doncaster, their starting front row can be pretty intimidating.
It's a big part.
So for a first game back, that was, it's funny because you work so hard to get there and then you get the success and you go, fuck.
What were you like in the sheds just before you're about to walk out?
Oh, I'm always nervous. It's a weird one. I don't know if this might be a thing for a psychologist, but before every game, I hate it. I just don't want to play. I'm nervous as anything. I feel sick, all that. And then as soon as the whistle goes and you hit someone or someone hits you, that just out the window and you feel fine. But especially nervous on that one.
Yeah. Well, I was nervous for you in that game. I'll never let on. Like, I'll obviously allow expectations, but I was obviously as a therapist, we run the first line of trauma on games. I can't even remember these parts, but how many times did I ask you how you were going that game? I probably would have asked you probably about 50 times. Probably not that much.
Yeah. I mean, I'd say, you're probably right.
Yeah, because I do remember the moment that I looked at you. I was from the sideline. I looked at you and went, it's good. I'm sure in that game you absolutely pummeled some.
did. That was nice. Yeah. I had at the back end. I think that was probably after, like we said before, you get that confidence back. I'd done a bit of training, but even the boys, they're your mates, and it's a Thursday, Tuesday afternoon, evening, and you do a bit of tackling, and no one's whacking your leg as hard as they can, or no one's putting their full effort into you, especially when they know you come back from injury. So that game was a big test because you know that no one's going to take it easy on you on a Sunday game day. So I think I think I played probably 20, 25 minutes at the start of the game, and we got through that, no injuries, made my tackles, made my carries, and we went, I'm back. And so, yeah, you come back in that second stint at the back end of the half and back into the game, sorry. Yeah, had a lot more confidence and, yeah,
Yeah,
had a decent afternoon.
yeah, I was absolutely. Don't get me wrong. I always buzz when someone comes back from injury and has that first game. There's always that doubt in my. I know there is in players' mind. There's always that doubt in my mind of, is this too soon? Am I leaving you exposed to
Yeah.
further complications and things like that? Don't get me wrong. I've set expectations that there could be further complications. That these are where your unstable points are. And I know you're dealing with something right now, which may be something off the back end of it that you can never be 100% sure. But like, I respect you for putting your body on the line, coming back very, very early. I would say very early because you smashed everything and got everything done in the time frame set. It's not. It's early on paper. It's early from what the research
Yeah.
says. Yeah, not the fact
Yeah.
that you wasn't ready. But yeah, so massive respect to you for that. It was one of the,
Thanks, mate.
I would say, the easiest things to rehabs, but it's been one of the best rehabs that I've done because everything's, I won't say gone to plan, but everything went perfect, and that's detriment to your work rate, not my work rate. So that's I'm happy with
We
it.
make a good team, Nick.
This is it. This is it. We have to continue to work together.
Well,
But
that's right.
so, what complications have you got now? Just so the people know.
Yeah. So, weird one. Like you said, we got through that Doncaster game, played 2 more games after that. And, like you said to me as well, that probably some of the more intense games I've been involved in, and that Oldham semi-final, that York semi-final as well. Got through them, no complications, a bit of swelling after the game, whatnot, as per
Expected.
usual. Yeah. 6 weeks off season. During that time, I was in the gym. I was doing some running. I went back home. No complications with the knee at all. Back for preseason week 1. I think day 3, I had a big crunch in my knee just doing some straight line running. Didn't know what it was. A lot of clicking in it, bit of catching. I thought, maybe there might be a little bit of a floating body in there. So we got an MRI scan, and even I've not got my head around it completely, but I've fractured my knee to some degree, which we imagine has to be a flow on from the PCL injury, as it
Yeah.
being in the same knee.
Yeah. Which wasn't picked. I've checked the first scans, which wasn't picked up on the first scan. So that could have been something grumbling in the background anyway, but more than likely it indicates from when you have that heavy contact on the front of the knee. But again, like I always lay out for athletes' journeys, there's always something to overcome. No one's going to ever take the pitch 100% fresh.
No.
But how is that making you respond now that you probably have to do a little bit more rehab?
Yeah, had my 24 hours of feeling sorry for myself, and I'm through that now. So I'm in a better headspace now. But yeah, I think we're still working and getting all the details because that'll obviously need a surgery and a clean out. The rehabilitation from this should be a couple of weeks, really. There's no structure or restructure being done in the knee. So it's just a bit of cleaning and then moving forward. So the rehabilitation, I'm not too concerned about, really. It's a couple of weeks. We're just getting the details down of when that's actually going to get done. So hopefully sooner rather than later, try and get back in and start the season with the boys. But
Hopefully that all
if
goes
not,
smoothly.
yeah, exactly.
Hopefully that goes
But
as smoothly.
if not, then, like you said, it's business as usual. You got to put things in place to make sure that once that surgery is done, I'm in the best place to get back as soon as possible.
Like I say, I hope that goes smoothly for you. Is there any advice that you give to any athlete now, or anybody who's not just an athlete, any amateur sport, anybody going through injury, that was it? Have you got any advice for any athletes or any amateur sport in players that are struggling with injury now? Is there any advice that you could give them to help them with their recovery and their journey?
Yeah, I guess if anything, it should be based off my own lived experience of having, gone through a few rehabilitations in different mindsets. And I think I said earlier, you know, you're going to have a good system in place and good discipline in place, because when you have those dark days, which you will, it's inevitable. It's not easy doing rehabilitation, and we do it as athletes. I can't imagine what it's like to do it as a non-athlete who has to work, have kids, other things going on, and find time to do rehabilitation. So if you are in that situation, have a good system and good standards, have a daily box you have to tick and get it done. And then those days where you have extra time, where you feel motivated, then kick the door in and smash it and be really happy and proud of yourself. And then the days when you're low, you know that there's that minimum you have to get done. It might be, I mean, you're a physio, you know as well, like you're not asking people to run through a brick wall or to do an hour's worth of exercises. It might be 10, 20 minutes a day of a few exercises, a few stretches. And
That's
it's
important.
easy to do, easy not to do.
Yeah, that's important. I always look from a position of, I say this to a lot of my clients in clinic. I goes, can you do 45? So you finish work at 5:00 and you get home. I want you to do 45 minutes worth of rehab. It's not going to happen. Like, I know plenty of athletes. I'm not saying you're one of these. There's plenty of athletes that get paid to do rehab, and none of them really want to do rehab. So therefore, anybody who's struggling here who's not getting paid to do rehab, it's simpler to do 5-10 minutes 3 times a day. So split into small bite-sized chunks. Obviously, you need a main block. I know you with an athlete, you needed a main block where you hit things hard. But ultimately, if you can do some simple stuff throughout the day, you are going to be in a better position than not doing it.
Yeah. I guess
Yeah.
like you'd say, with that consistency be better than, so 5-10 minutes every day compared to 40 minutes twice a week. Would you argue that consistency then is probably going to get you more results than those 2 big blocks a week and then nothing the other days?
For me as a therapist, it's all about stimulation. You're going to say with your knee injury, your knee is going to be in a different position at mid-afternoon than it is in the morning. You're going to wake up in the morning. It's going to feel stiff. It's going to feel uncomfortable. This is any injury, to be fair, because you spent moments immobile. So doing something as soon as you wake up to get things going, you're stimulating the body to kind of move the way you want it to move. Then in mid-afternoon, you're going to feel different again. You might feel a little bit looser. There's a little bit less swelling. So do some more then. And then that process is going to start again the day after. So for me, doing rehab progressively throughout the day, every day, you're going to leave yourself in a better position rather than waiting 3 days to then do a big session.
I think
Yeah.
tend to agree. That's the advice from Owen and Nick to the people going through rehab.
Slow and steady. Not slow and steady, but stay consistent is the main thing. Right. Before we go on to quick fire questions to wrap this up, I put out a little poll for the Halifax Panthers fan forum to see if we could get any questions for you. We've got
my one
good
fan.
question here. Yeah, one fan. We've got one good question here from Peter Wood. He wants an Australian's perspective. Okay, kind of a lot of good listeners might not know about this if you don't know much about rugby league, but they're going through a process with somebody called IMG, a company that's trying to restructure the leagues. They want to know Australians' perspective of the IMG and the NRL model, which is obviously includes feeder teams and promotion and relegation. So as a kind of roundup, what's your thoughts on IMG, how it compares to the Australian way of doing it, and do you believe in promotion and relegation?
Ooh, it's a really good question, actually. How am I going to word this? I think that promotion relegation is so exciting for the fans. I think it's so exciting for the clubs. And it's something that I've thoroughly enjoyed being a part of since playing in England. Like, the championship teams, it's like who's getting promoted and who's going well, and all these guys are going really bad. They might get relegated soon. Like, it's the same with the football as well. You watch that and it's such an exciting aspect of the game. And I think it's so cool that England do that. The counter of that is that if you have that, you will never compete with Australia in the Ashes, because Australia have the best systems and it's trickled down. So you can't have these bottom teams jump into the Super League for 2-3 years, get belted the whole time and drop down. No one's getting better. I think if you want the game, as in for clubland, to be as interesting as possible, I love promotion relegation. The IMG, I'm not a big fan of. I don't understand it from business sense. I think, you know, if for whatever reason, I don't want to pick out a team. I'll use Halifax for an example. If we'd gone on a massive run last year, we were probably at times the best team in that competition. And don't get us started on the York semi-final. You sort of, as a club, we were the best team at last year. If we had gone all the way and won, and we were suddenly in the Super League, like we wouldn't have survived. We just weren't in a position as a club to survive that. So you do need IMG. But that's what's so exciting about promotion relegation is that these clubs can just come from nowhere and go up.
Yeah.
And these clubs also can have all the resources, but if they don't get things right, they drop and get relegated out. But again, it won't matter against, if you want England's national team to go well and you want the English rugby league to be a strong brand of rugby league, I think you've got to go a trickle down sort of system as the NRL does, is what my opinion would be.
Yeah, that's to be fair, I'm with you on there. Promotion relegation is exciting, but if you want to grow the sport and have good feeder teams and make sure the actual product of rugby leagues, it's a great product, it's a great game. It needs to grow.
It will, and I think as well with because you'd have feeder clubs to teams, and hate to admit it, but as a Halifax, if at the moment we would probably have to feed into Bradford or Huddersfield, two of the biggest rivals, and fans would absolutely hate that. And so I can understand why no one would ever want that to happen, because that would just be, I couldn't imagine people's minds if Halifax were a feeder club for Bradford. It wouldn't sit right.
No. Look, something has to change to help grow the sport. Hopefully it works out.
Yeah.
Right, let's push on to a little bit of a quick fire round to wrap this up then.
Looking forward to it.
First thing that comes to mind, so short, sharp answers. Everybody always expands on these. They're never short and sharp.
No,
what is your
I like to
go-to?
talk.
What is your go-to pre-game ritual?
Pasta the night before a game, make sure I got some carbs, and because it's yummy. Morning of the game, go for a walk and get a coffee. That's about it.
Perfect. Nothing that you do in the sheds pre-game?
Not really, no. Few stretches I like to hit, but that's just because I've got no flexibility.
No superstitions?
Nah.
Perfect. Who's your sporting idol?
Ooh, that's a good one. See, the first one that comes to mind, I had a lot of Muhammad Ali framed quotes and pictures around my room when I was younger. I don't know if I loved him or my mum loved him, but we shared having a lot of Muhammad Ali quotes around the room. So I have to say him.
Yeah, perfect. What is your go-to meal post-game? If you could get something delivered to you post-game, that's your meal. What would it be?
I can't believe you haven't gone yet, but Marston's Chicken, everyone, you got to go. It's unreal.
I'm Huddersfield, where Marston's Chicken is. It's well known in Huddersfield. I don't know why I've never been. I've always lived at the other side of Huddersfield, so I've never thought, I'll just drive for 30 minutes and go get some chicken.
Drive 3 hours to get that chicken.
Yeah, maybe I have to experience it. We'll get it done. Might even be a plug for Marston's here. Get Owen his post-game meals. Get them delivered.
Yes, please.
Well, thank you for joining us, Owen. It's been a great chat. It's been great to listen to those insights, injury-wise and recovery-wise, and the mental side of things. Where can people follow you on socials?
I've got Instagram. I don't use Twitter or anything, or TikTok or anything. That's not me. Instagram, I think Owen McCarron 04, I think it is my handle. Yeah, come and follow me. Follow my exciting life that I live.
Hey, you play yourself down a lot. You're still an elite athlete, and you're still looked up to in the eyes of fans and things like that of what you do every day.
Yeah.
Even if you don't want to admit it or realize it. But yeah, thank you for coming on the comeback circuit. Until next time.
My pleasure.
Hopefully everything goes well recovery-wise and you get everything set up in a good manner.
Hoping so.
But yeah, thank you again for joining us.
My pleasure. Thank you very much, Nick.
No worries.